your fear until this hell ends.
Have you ever felt a chill run down your spine in the dead of night, knowing something watches you just beyond the veil of reality? Tonight, we venture into the bone-chilling story of the Majarer Jinn. Brace yourself, because some spirits don't just haunt, they follow. Our story begins on a moonless night in a small village that had long forgotten peace. Rahim, a man skeptical of old legends, was challenged by his friends to stay overnight. At the cursed graveyard, the Majarer, whispers in the village claimed that those who disturbed its silence never returned the same. Rahim, with a smirk and a pocket flashlight, approached the iron gate. "It's just a pile of dirt," he laughed, his voice echoing far too loudly into the still night. But as he stepped into the darkness, he was oblivious to the pair of invisible eyes following him. Inside, the graveyard felt alive, pulsing. An unnatural breeze rustled the leaves as Rahim shone his flashlight, only to see nothing. He sighed. "Am I supposed to be scared of the dark?" He laughed again, but this time, his laugh was cut short by a sudden thud behind him. "What, a raccoon, please?" he joked, more to himself. Yet, the silence that followed seemed almost insulted. "Quick question. If you were Rahim, would you still be playing the tough guy? Or booking it home like a scared puppy? Just something to think about." Determined to prove his bravery, Rahim marched forward. But as he passed an old tree, a sickly sweet smell invaded his nostrils. He turned, and in the beam of his flashlight, something flickered, a shadow, standing unnervingly still. Before he could react, it was gone. His hands trembled, but he shook it off. "Get a grip, man." Suddenly, his phone buzzed. It was a text. "Go home, now." He laughed, assuming it was a prank from his friends. "Very funny, guys," he yelled, but no one replied. The phone buzzed again. "Look behind you." Heart pounding. Rahim spun around, his light shaking. There was nothing, yet the air felt suffocating. His breath quickened. Was it just fear playing tricks on him? He took a step back, and that's when he noticed the ground beneath. His feet had turned cold. Too cold. Then a whisper, not carried by the wind, but crawling into his ears. "You shouldn't be here." The grave marker beside him cracked, and Rahim felt something grip his ankle. "Okay, pause for a second. How would you rate your escape skills in a horror movie from 1 to I'd trip over my own shoelaces?" Rahim tried to pull away, but his body felt heavy, like a stone. As panic coursed through his veins, he noticed an old, tattered figure emerging. From the shadows, its face hidden, but its presence overwhelming. "What are you?" he stammered. The figure took a step closer, and that's when Rahim understood. This was no ghost. It was the Jinn of the Majarer, a spirit that didn't haunt, it claimed. The Jinn spoke without lips, and the words pressed into Rahim's mind. Why disturb the peace of the dead? Rahim could feel his sanity slipping, every memory twisting into a blur. He fell to his knees, the cold seeping through his bones. Desperately, he tried to pray, but his tongue was heavy, unwilling. The last thing he saw was the Jinn's hand, reaching for him, a darkness that swallowed his senses. And when the village elders found Rahim the next morning, he was changed. Eyes empty, mouth frozen in a silent scream. No one knew what he saw, but from that day forward, the graveyard held a new warning. Some say if you listen closely, you can hear Rahim's voice in the dead of night, still trying to scream,